Have you ever pondered the question, what if JFK was not assassinated? Let's cast our minds back to November 22, 1963, a date etched in the annals of history when the world stood still as President John F. Kennedy was tragically assassinated. The immediate aftermath was a wave of shock and grief that swept across the nation and beyond its borders, leaving an indelible mark on the world. But what if history took a different turn? What if the bullets missed their mark, and JFK lived to see another day, another year, another term? This is not just a thought experiment. It's an exploration of an alternate timeline, a different course of history, where the 35th President of the United States survived that fateful day in Dallas. Now let's delve into the realm of alternate history and explore the potential outcomes of this unaltered course. Imagine a world where JFK returned to his family and continued his presidency. The personal implications for the Kennedy family could have been profound. Jacqueline Kennedy, known for her elegance and grace, would have continued to shape the role of First Lady, perhaps focusing on arts, education, or historical preservation. Their children, Caroline and John Jr., would have grown up in the White House, their formative years shaped by the unique experiences and responsibilities that come with such a position. In terms of policy, JFK's vision of a new frontier might have evolved, encompassing more groundbreaking initiatives. He could have expanded on his efforts to advance civil rights, or perhaps focused on education reform or space exploration. His charisma and idealism might have pushed these agendas forward, reshaping the national landscape. The White House, under the continued stewardship of JFK, would have been a hub of progressive ideas, of hope, and of change. The White House might have been a very different place indeed. But the ripple effects of JFK's survival would have reached far beyond his family and the White House. Imagine a nation emboldened by the charismatic leadership of John F. Kennedy. His vision for a new frontier could have continued to shape America, ushering in a wave of progressive policies and social change. The civil rights movement, already gathering momentum, might have seen accelerated progress under Kennedy's administration. JFK had already shown a willingness to confront the issue head-on, and with him at the helm, landmark legislation might have been passed even sooner. And then, there's the question of Vietnam. The quagmire of war was just beginning to suck America in during JFK's presidency. Would he have escalated the conflict as his successor did, or might he have sought a different path? Some believe that Kennedy, with his keen political acumen and instinct for diplomacy, could have prevented the full-scale war that eventually erupted. The loss of thousands of American lives might have been averted, and the tumultuous social upheaval of the late 60s could have taken a different turn. But Kennedy's influence wouldn't have stopped at the shores of America. His approach to Cold War diplomacy was decidedly different from those who came after him. Would his strategy of peaceful coexistence have lessened the tensions between the superpowers? Perhaps the world would have seen a thawing of the Cold War rather than its intensification. Nations under the shadow of the Soviet Union might have experienced a different fate, and the global political landscape could have been redrawn. In Southeast Asia, Kennedy's focus on nation-building and support for emerging democracies might have altered the trajectory of countries like Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Instead of being battlegrounds in a proxy war, they could have become showcases for the success of democracy. This alternate world, shaped by JFK's continued influence, could have been vastly different from the one we know today. So, what have we learned from this exploration of alternate history? We've delved into a world where JFK was not assassinated, analyzing the potential impacts on his family, his presidency, the nation, and even the global stage. We imagined a Kennedy family untouched by tragedy and a White House with JFK at the helm for a full term, or perhaps two. This hypothetical scenario painted a picture of a nation possibly diverging in its socio-political trajectory, potentially impacting civil rights movements, the space race, and the Cold War. On the global front, we considered changes in relationships with other nations, shifts in the balance of power, and the ripple effects of these alterations. We pondered these scenarios not as a whimsical flight of fancy, but as a tool to better understand our present, underscored by the importance of understanding history, hypothetical or otherwise. In the end, we can only speculate about what might have been, but these speculations can offer us a unique perspective on the significant impact of JFK's life and death.